You've sent your invoices or have done a cash sale. You've received your payments and have either deposited the checks in the bank physically or you're about to at the end of the day. Now, you need to tell QuickBooks about it so that what you're depositing in QuickBooks matches up to your physical bank statements. When you reconciled against those physical bank statements, you need everything to match up. Remember, when we processed those payments, we grouped everything into a chart of accounts called Undeposited Funds. QuickBooks takes this amount and records the bank deposit and clears out this undeposited funds account of those checks that you chose to deposit. That's what we're going to do in this video. Because this needs to be reconciled against your actual bank account, it's very important that this matches up to the physical transaction. And it's also very common that in a real-world scenario, sometimes things can change on the way to the bank. For this reason, I don't like to come in and record my deposits until after the deposit happens at the bank. I'll show you how to fix it later if a mix match occurs, but it's easiest on yourself if you don't have to do that in the first place. There's two scenarios that can make a deposit change at the bank. You may deposit less checks than you intended. Maybe you forgot to stamp a check so you can't deposit it, or maybe you gained a check on the way. So let's head over to the banking section on the home screen and we'll click Record Deposits. The first thing we have to decide is which payments we're actually depositing it. You can also sort it and only look at particular payment types. For example, you can only see your payments that come in by cash and check. Here, I have two checks. Remember, one of them was a payment received from an invoice and the other one was a direct sale. In this case, I'm going to deposit both of them, so I'll place a check mark next to both of them on the left-hand side. If, on the way to the bank, you found out that you couldn't deposit a particular check, you can just leave it unchecked right here. I'll click OK, and I'm brought into the Deposits dialog box. The first thing I need to tell QuickBooks is what bank account I'm depositing these into. I may have another bank account that I already set up, but in this case, I'm depositing it right into my business checking account. I could put in the actual date that the physical deposit happened and any special memo that I might need to write about it. Here is where my checks will be getting line itemed. I can see who it's from, and I can see the check number. I can also change the payment method. If I didn't specify that it was a check, I could fill it in here. This is also the screen where I can add checks if I want. I showed you on that last screen how if you didn't end up depositing a check, you didn't have to put a check mark to it. But if you gained a check, you can put it here. I'm going to add a check to this line item. I need to first specify who the check came from. I can click Add New if the customer wasn't here, but in this case, they are here. I sometimes do tasting demos for local Rotary clubs, so I selected the customer. And now I need to choose what account it's coming from. It's going to be an income account. I do have several income accounts here, including my tasting parties, but I'm going to create a new one. This way, I can track it. I'll click Add New. I'll select Income and click the blue Continue button. I'll give it a number and the account name. I'll call this one Cooking Demo. I'll set this to Schedule C, Other Business Income. I'll click Save and Close. And now I can track the income from this account. I can write a memo, the check number, the fact that it was a check, and finally, the amount. When I'm all done adding any additional checks, I can decide at the bottom of the screen if I'm going to have any cash back to a particular amount. For example, if any cash went to something like petty cash, or if I took any money out as a salary for myself, I could select that under Owner's Draw. I can put the cashback amount, and when I'm all done, I'll click Save and Close. My deposit has been recorded in QuickBooks. If I go back into my chart of accounts, I can see here that my undeposited funds account has been reset and is now back to 0.